Story. I'm here with Kate Buller, and welcome to our week 10 of the Afghan knit along in pure wool worsted, our final week, and this is when we're going to talk about the making up of the Afghan, including the cable trim to finish.
So this is the finale, Martin, what we've been looking forward to for the last 10 weeks.
Yes, here we are at last. Yes, we should have all our 48 squares knitted up and our cable trim ready to go.
So I can see on the table there you've got the diagram. Is that the way you started at the beginning?
Yes, I started with a sketch and a colour chart as well. So the sketch was just to show me where to place all the different textured squares, so I didn't have two squares of the same texture alongside each other. And similarly as well, I did myself a rough colour chart as well with all the colour numbers on. So again, I didn't get two of the same colours sitting alongside each other. It was a little bit tricky to work out, but I think it's worked out really well.
That's quite scientific.
It is,
yeah.
Yes, it was actually. But what we've come up with for the actual knitter is a making up diagram which will be included in the pattern, and that will tell you where your square and what colour it is should be positioned.
So before you start sewing up, Martin, are you going to press your samples?
Yes. What I would do is actually press all the squares lightly on the wrong side using a damp cloth and a bit of steam from the iron, but not actually holding the iron directly onto the swatch itself. Otherwise, there's a danger of flattening the stitches, particularly the cable stitches.
And you let them dry?
Yes, just let them dry naturally, just steam dry until they're on the ironing board or on a similar surface. And
it's really a good idea not to cut that out of the equation, isn't it? Because if you don't steam them, sewing up is a lot more difficult.
It is a lot more difficult as well when you need to have the edges nice and flat and not curling up when you slip stitch them into place.
So I always think one should never hurry the end bit.
No, take your time to do it neatly and properly, and particularly when you start putting the trim in place, you need to remember to gather the trims at the corners so the edging remains flat.
And what are you going to use? What stitch are you going to use? Are you going to use slip stitch or back stitch?
Yes, I'm going to use a slip stitch, and I'm going to use my leftover yarn, or if I've left a long enough end to finish with. But if you leave an end, leave enough so you can sew them into place, and just match the yarn as best as you can to the actual colour of the square. But if you're slip stitching, it won't show on the right side anyway.
And it's best to do it perhaps even sitting on a sofa so you've got a bit of support.
Exactly, yes. Or if you've got a large dining table as well where you can lay the whole blanket out, that's even better.
And you can actually see before you start sewing up what it's going to look like.
Yes, absolutely. If you can actually get all the squares into position as well, that will help. And maybe using the longer pins to pin it together before you start slip stitching it.
So Martin, I'll finish off doing the trim and you get on with that last bit of sewing up, and
right.
We're going to have this thing done.
Yes, absolutely. But before we finish, I should remind you that at the end of the knit along, we'll be opening a competition on both Facebook and Ravelry for you to get involved and show us your finished Afghan, to be in with the chance of winning signed copies of the Pure Wool Worsted collection and Simple Shapes Pure Wool Worsted, signed by myself. And you will also win some of the beautiful pure wool worsted yarns. The winner will be selected at random. Thank you.
Martin, can I enter this one?
You can, yes.
Thanks very much, everybody, and I hope you've enjoyed our knit along.
Thank you.